Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We're All Psychic.
And Donna Murphy,
What are you doing, Donna Murphy?
co-hosting We're All Psychic with you.
And this is an audio only podcast. And today we have the gratis guest, and he hasn't been back since 2022, I think, or 2023. And his name is Miles. Miles, would you like to say hello?
Hello, humans.
Humans. He is an Aquarius. He doesn't know what human is. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Miles. Miles, Donna has a question for you.
I do. Miles, I wanted to ask you if you think that we're all psychic.
I think it's important to say yes and no. I think it's important to say yes because we all have the potential. And I think it's important to encourage people, to try to tap into their intuition, right? But in this field, I've noticed that there's a lot of people who think that everyone's just born with the ability to do readings tomorrow. You can be a medium tomorrow
Yeah.
if you take my course, or just sit in silence right now and you can be a medium. And
Yeah.
in other fields like sports or music, you have to work to hone your gift, right?
Good point.
Absolutely.
And not some people are natural athletes, some people are natural musicians, they have a gift. So I almost think it's detrimental when you tell people you can do it right now, because some people, like in the past, before I could do things, you try and you can't do it. And then you're like, well, this person's lying to me.
Or you think there's something
Mhm.
wrong with you.
Yeah,
Or that there's
exactly.
something. Yeah,
You're not good.
exactly.
You can't. There's something wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yep,
I,
that's
That's where
I
a lot
right.
think,
of insecure
yeah,
people go, and they go to coaches because they don't trust themselves. Thanks.
yeah.
Right.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was 18 when I started meditating, and I didn't start doing tarot readings till I was 33.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
that's 15 years of spiritual
Yeah,
practice it
Right.
took for
exactly.
me to hone it. So yeah, I think we all have the potential, but I think for many of us, it takes work, like
It
most
does. It did
things.
me. I learned it all pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, I had learned to pick up on energy young, but I didn't know
Hmm.
that's what I was doing. And then I learned
Hmm.
palmistry at 15 out of curiosity. I started doing that. But like you, I didn't pick up the tarot until I was around 28 or 27.
Mm.
And it was like, good 12, 13 years in between the two. And I did communicate with spirits, but I didn't know I was.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
figured that out after finding the term spirit guide on the internet.
Mm.
And I think you brought up a really good point, Miles, and that is that I think even among the naturally very gifted in any gift, there is still going to be a combination of both, I'll call it practice and study.
Hmm.
Yes.
Or practice in the sense of application. In other words, using the
Hmm.
divinely given gift, talent, whatever, and a certain amount of study, because understanding what it is that you've got and what it is that you're doing, even though it may come naturally, being able to apply it, I think, most effectively involves learning about that skill, that gift, whatever, and then how to apply it or how to best apply it in the way that's most beneficial to the people you want to help, but also is of benefit to you so that you can kind of, I'll say, kind of harness the gift, so to speak.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, you
like
can
that.
And
have
Yeah.
and then you, yeah,
Yeah, you can have two athletes with say two people with a natural gift to play basketball. Well, one of them works on their craft and the other one just sits around. Who's going to be more successful, right?
right. And
Most
who's going to
So,
be a better,
likely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to be a better, more well-rounded
Yeah.
player
It's a
when they
tortoise
when
and
they
the
actually play?
hare. It's
Yeah.
like the tortoise in
mhm.
there. Some people say they just have always been that way. And I mean, mostly I hear that from men who say male readers or male professionals, or even if they're not in the fields, if they're coaches or something, or they just want to talk about it and they use it, they saw it as an advantage. And that's really the biggest difference I've seen between male and female readers. And women we've all been, from what I've told, especially like the guests, this is what I'm talking about when I say we all, the guests say they always felt like they had to hide it usually, but or they thought it was something wrong with them or something like that. A lot of the men, most of them, I would say, who've been on who are professionals in the field, they did see it as an advantage to feel like whenever they decided to work with it or awakened, if they call it that, or if they just were born that way, they say, they all saw it as a good thing. They never seem to say that they were like, whoa, what's happening with this? They don't seem to complain about that. And I find that interesting,
Well, that's funny because
Yeah.
that's almost the opposite of my experience. And
Really?
this was actually something I was going to ask you both is, I find myself almost a little jealous of women in this field. Being a man, it's kind of looked at as weird,
I
right?
bet
I
it
was like,
is.
I was studying, I have this book about different, magical practices through, history. And I think it's the Scandinavian region. It was something called Seder that they practice. And they were talking about how back in the day, like, it was seen as effeminate, or if men would
Like men
practice
playing with
that,
Barbies or something. Yeah.
right? And I laughed because it's like nothing has changed. I think being a straight dude who's just into this stuff, like I do find myself jealous of women because I feel like y'all have your communities and you do like the
Yeah.
women's
Yeah.
retreats, and as a straight man, there's not a lot of
I've met a few
us in this.
straight men on the podcast who are in the field,
Yeah.
and I mean a lot more than I expected. Let's put it that way, Miles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I would say you're really grounded. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. I think like for my just you talking, I'm watching your videos and stuff. I just feel like you probably wouldn't relate to a lot of the kinds of men I've met in the field, even if they are straight.
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it, but you're just grounded. You don't have an agenda. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
Sometimes it's not that they have an agenda. Let's not put it that way. I just don't see you fitting them. A lot of the men in the spiritual field, I feel like, because you're doing it for a different reason. Maybe you were
Yeah.
exploring yourself. Not that they didn't.
I mean, even in my regular life, like I have my tennis group, I go play sports, and that's where I don't talk about any of this stuff really with those people. It's like I'm living two different lives.
I do that too. I don't talk about it unless someone asks me, and one really
Yeah,
wants to know. But I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
especially as a guy, I talk about this stuff, and
Yeah. I think men, yeah.
other
Yeah.
guys are like, I'm good, bro.
Yeah. So
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
I had a guest. Now, Donna, I think you couldn't make this one, or maybe it was before you were the co-host. His name was Brian Orlando, and he's a DJ. But he is like the most dudeliest dude kind of attitude. He
Yeah.
loves sports. He's a DJ, morning host, and he's like, I would love for more people in the world be tarot readers who look like me.
Yes.
And it's kind of
Nice.
like I feel like that's kind of what you're saying, not look like me, but I feel, I want it to be
Yeah.
normalized. I want it to be okay. And you're okay
Yeah.
with it not being okay, I feel like, but still, it's like, what's up?
Hmm.
You
Yeah. No,
know?
I certainly have observed the same thing. There are very few men who are, and I'll say who are out. I don't mean that they're not straight. I mean
Out of the
that they are out
closet.
as far
Out
as
of the
what,
broom closet.
yeah, as far as what gifts, right, as far as what gifts they have and whether or not they choose to utilize them, and certainly how and when they choose to utilize them, or whether they actually make that their life's work, or it's something
Hmm.
that they do in conjunction with another career.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's interesting. Another thing I have heard from a lot of the men who come on is that they did have a moment of an epiphany kind of moment, Niles. They didn't, a lot of them did. One of them was, we did a podcast called Self Taught, and it was just about how we both taught ourselves. But most of them say they had like a situation where they heard a voice say, okay, right now you're going to start doing this. And they felt like the call or the pulling or something like that. Whereas a lot of the women on the podcast say they like couldn't help it, kind of. Don't you hear that, Donna? Like they couldn't, not that they couldn't help it, they
yeah,
wanted to do it, but it was just like
right,
like they were pulled in a different way, than the men
Hmm.
were. I guess they didn't hear a
yeah,
voice and was like they didn't know. It was just like a gradual
yeah.
knowing kind of thing, gradual acceptance. I've
Hmm.
seen that difference too. Did you have any like when you started diving into this, Miles, and learning about it and exploring it? Like, what was the reason behind it? What made you curious about spirituality?
Well, it's funny because being a guy, I started off the more like logical, intellectual place.
Yeah,
I was
astrology.
just more curious. I just fell into like Edgar Casey, mystics and different
Yeah,
spiritual figures and like yogis from the East. And I was like, some of what they're saying really resonates and makes sense of things that I wondered. Because I always wondered about, deeper questions,
me too. Yeah,
but wasn't getting answers, religion
yeah.
and stuff like that. I was not very satisfied. Some of that. So yeah, that led me down the more intellectual rabbit hole. And for me, it took, many years of just gradually kind of opening up. And that's where the intuition came
Well,
in.
you're more like a woman then. See, you should be joining our little witch groups that you think we have. We
I'm good.
really
I
don't.
think,
We really don't.
yeah,
It's just like a few of us reach out and if we get lucky, we find each other really.
yeah, I
And
know. But
since
like my clients on, job, it's like 99% women.
I
It's,
yeah,
know. I know.
yeah,
but,
most of my clients are women, not all,
Me
but
too.
most. And well, and the other thing is too, I do think that especially I think for people who are on a spiritual path, very often, whatever that however that path may be unfolding for them, what I see is there's a higher awareness of both masculine and feminine energy. And I'm talking this has nothing to do with gender or gender
Right. Oh, I
identity
see what you're
or
saying. Yeah.
biological sex. What it does have to do with is like the yin and the yang, okay? The divine
mhm.
masculine and the divine feminine, those energies that we all embody, we all have both. I truly believe that.
I do too.
So I have seen people who are much more, I think, aware of that and much more maybe able through their various disciplines to integrate that
Yeah.
quite a bit
Interesting.
more.
That's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
And I do think I just want to say, like, healing, intuition, I do think it is a more feminine place. It's a feminine art. And I think men, we are just naturally more wired towards logic. Not all of us, but I
The
don't know.
expectations are there too.
Yeah. But
In the
like you were
Yeah, some of
saying,
that is yeah, some of that is reinforced culturally, but I think there again, when you look at what is defined as masculine energy and what's defined as feminine energy, right? There's the
yeah.
receptive, the yielding, the
mhm,
the passive. And again, there's no value judgments here. But
mhm,
when you look at yin energy from Eastern philosophy or whatever, it's that idea of receptivity. It's passive. Male energy is more active. It's more doing than being. And again, I'm not making a value judgment about that. It's not
Yeah.
yeah,
How
passive
I do.
versus aggressive or passive, it's just that's how those energies get defined.
but as a man in this field, I look at things like the scientists online who are debating, all these things, and they think the whole intuitive new age field is BS. And I'm just like, it's because they've never had an intuitive dream or a gut feel,
Yeah.
like, like most
Oh, I
women
bet they
have.
have. And
Or
they
they've
just aren't
ignored
going
or
to
they've
admit it
ignored it.
because the
Yeah.
other people would make fun of them and they really
Right.
care what the other people
They've
Yeah.
think.
ignored, they've either ignored it or minimized it.
I
Yeah.
truly believe they know or have had some kinds of experience. Everybody has. Really think so. I mean, we're all doing it every day somehow. I think, like what I had a guest who said that the reason we're all psychic. I love this answer. He said it was because of social navigation, and he explained it. And it's kind of interesting the way he explained it because we had to learn how to communicate without communicating, and then we had to recognize the energy, and that's how we like. A lot of people say, I feel someone looking at me. That's energy.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like that's a lot of those people just they don't know what they're doing. They don't know they're doing it and they don't want to. They don't want to know they're doing it. It's what it feels like. They don't want to have to
Mhm.
be different or think for themselves. in my opinion. I don't know though. I always think
Sure.
a lot of people have a hard time thinking for themselves. I'm not sure about that. I did when I was younger. I was very influenced by what other people told me because I didn't know anything. You know,
Mm.
I didn't know a damn
Well,
thing.
Well, like
like,
most of us when we're
yeah.
young, we
Yeah, we have to listen. We don't know.
don't know.
And like you were saying before, I think women, even working at the, psychic job, I'm like, I wonder how many thousands of women just like are at home, just the housewife, and they're so intuitive, probably even more than many of us on the
Yeah.
apps or whatever, and they just never come forward because they're just shy.
But that's you have a great point there, and a lot of my clients are those women. Do you know what I'm talking
mm,
about? Over the years, I've had a
Mhm.
lot of those women, and they give me
Mhm.
readings in return because they're true healers.
mhm.
They're just like, "Can I
Yeah,
practice on you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, give me a reading," and they're
yeah,
good. They're really
yeah,
spot on,
yeah,
and they like you said, they're inhibited by it, and they're afraid to.
Mhm.
And men, on the other hand, it seems like it's more of a social status, not status, but they're afraid to be looked down on or something like that, which, it's weird. Miles, I don't know how old you are, but I've met a lot of people, like my stepsons, when I was raising them, and they went into their 20s, and their friends and stuff like that. People, I would say in their 20s and early 30s, they're the men. They're much nicer, or not nicer, but they're more open with their feelings than when I was younger. Like when I went to high school in the 90s, it was very different. Um, but now, like my stepsons, for example, they would hug their friends and say, I love you before they left for the day. They spent the
Mm.
day together doing whatever. Bye, see you later, love you, hugs. And as women usually do that. And when I was growing up, but men never did. And now the younger people seem to be okay with that, saying that stuff out loud, at least, the ones I've known.
yeah.
Yeah, we definitely didn't do that when I was in high school, but
No.
it's nice to see, yeah, to hear that.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I don't know when they'll get in the field.
Well,
They will.
hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, more and more of them will step up and step in. That would be lovely to see. It really would.
Yeah, it would. So,
Yeah.
listeners, this is an audio only podcast, and Miles is going to teach us about something he's been learning about. And he wants to tell us about it and how he got interested. Miles, you want to tell us about it?
So yeah, I guess the main topic for today is energy healing,
Yes.
and I'm not sure how much actually I have to teach. This is a strange field because unlike astrology or tarot, this is something that's not intellectual for me. It never started off that way. Um, I guess I should say when I was in high school, uh, one day I was sitting in like study hall or something, and this woman came up to me and my friend. She's like, "Do you want to get out of class every day and go to a Reiki course?" And I was like, "What the heck is Reiki?"
How old are
But
you?
I was 18.
Oh, that's so cool.
Um, yeah, and it was so strange because I'm from a small town in New Hampshire, and this was back in like early 2000s.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
it's
That's meant to be.
exactly. So, anyways, I'm like, "Oh, you said we can get out of school, get out of class
Yeah.
for this? Sure." So, me and my buddy Andy, we would get on this little bus every few days, and yeah, they would take us and some other kids to this woman's Reiki studio, and we would, that's what we learned about, chakras and all this stuff that I thought was complete BS. But we got to lay down and basically take a nap, and the people would we'd work on each other and do the hands-on healing. Well, I guess Reiki is kind of hands-off healing, distance
So it's with
healing,
it, but
but
I've learned Reiki. I'm a Reiki master teacher. It's really whatever you're comfortable with, and what your client.
yeah.
I don't like touching people. I don't like doing Reiki on people. Just a little interjection here, because I don't like going in their energy field unless I'm really comfortable with them. Like animals, no
Mm,
problem, but with people, I don't like to touch them or go in their energy field. So I don't usually do Reiki with people.
mm, hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get, yeah. So I should correct myself. Reiki is more hands-on, typically, right? So, but you can do both. So, anyways, we would work on each other. And one day I was working on this kid, and he started like convulsing almost. He started like going into this fit, like
Whoa.
shaking.
Holy crap.
yeah, and the teacher had to come over and like do something to like settle the energy or whatever. And um, so I was like, oh, that was kind of strange.
What
But
happened? Did she ever explain it or
she never said. I don't even know if she knew. But the kid, he seemed great. I don't
what
know.
did
It
you think
seemed.
happened?
Um, I really do.
Honestly.
I have no idea, especially at that time. I mean, I thought everything was, like I said, BS. So I'm like, hmm.
He might have had like something going on really unbalanced, but you're really powerful and you don't
Yeah,
know it. That's kind of what it sounds like, maybe. I mean, I don't know, though. you
yeah,
know,
maybe something with his nervous system. I don't really know.
maybe. Yeah.
So that was, something that, stuck out. And then like years later, like I had a girlfriend and she had an issue in her back, and I like said, oh, I can just try this, whatever healing thing. I put my hand on her back, and I remember feeling something clicked under my hand, and then she said her back felt better.
So cool.
That was like a decade later. So that these little things, but I never pursued it. But I would get, I would talk to intuitives, and the main theme they would all say is like healing would be kind of the theme around me in my life. So then finally, like a couple of months back, yeah, there's some people from Australia originally, they're doing this study to like test energy healing. And I was like, well, I don't really think I have it, but I'll give it a shot. And so before that, like the month before, I was like, I'm just gonna practice and see if I actually have any capability. So I would go on just random forums and like anonymously ask people if they needed anything or whatever. And
Cool.
yeah, and so I seem to have pretty good success with that. So that kind of gave me the confidence to try this with that study. And um, through the study, you could see in real time, through numbers, they would rate their pain, like in which area, I have an 8 level pain in my right foot. And then you would do your thing for like 5 minutes, you would check back in, and then they would rate the number again. So you would
Cool.
see in real time, like if you actually can affect this person.
Is this distance healing or are you in person?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, completely distance and
Ooh.
completely anonymous.
Awesome.
No idea who they are. Yeah, and you don't
Wow.
know where they are.
You just feel them and I know it's weird how we can do that. What do you, I'm interrupting a little bit here because
Yeah.
that's always fascinated me how we can do that. We can just find them. What is that? How does that even work, do you think? I kind of think it's our crown chakra connecting through everything and that's how we find them. I don't know.
Hmm. I don't really know, because I think it's the same with tarot. It's like we're
Yeah.
doing our readings from a distance, right? The
Yeah.
person's not there. So I think it's all about intention, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whatever higher power it is, it knows if your
You're
intention is to
right. They are the
focus
ones
on
who
this
probably route.
person. um yeah. And I will say I did speak to someone on Everclear, and they told me that angels were involved in this whole thing, which is cool to hear. um so anyways, yeah, as far as how it happens, I really don't know. I just say my prayer and I kind of meditate on them, send
You have your
energy.
own kind of technique that you've developed through the years of trying things and learning, it sounds like.
Yeah. And I did the whole, Reiki courses like decades ago. But I'm going to be honest, I feel like a lot of that is kind of BS. I mean, you just basically pay someone and you get a certificate, you learn some things, but
I agree with you, except if you find the right teachers and the right lineage, I would just want to put it that way. Because there's a
mhm.
lot of different things called Reiki, and I don't think they are. But if you find the right teachers and I had a really great teacher. And it was very interesting, Miles, because I didn't mean to become a Reiki teacher. I just wanted to become
Mhm.
a Reiki master, but I didn't know it, but I signed up for both. And the third class was called PRT. And we did it online, and it was just me and my teacher for that one. We had classes for the first two Reikis, Reiki 1
Mhm.
and 2. And in that one, we didn't really talk much about Reiki of that whole 4 hour, 8 hour, whatever. How we spent a long time on Zoom, and we didn't talk about Reiki much until the last 30 minutes. And that was the most difficult lesson because she was
Mhm.
shifting my energy just talking to me. And I knew it. I was doubting myself, but just through normal conversation, my teacher was letting the Reiki flow through her, is what it seemed like to me. To me, to change and shift, it's hard to explain. It's like that's what it felt like. It was very difficult. I love my teacher. We have easy time talking. And speaking of energy healing and health issues, I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And listeners, if you don't know, I'm sure you do if you're a regular listener, but maybe Miles, you don't, and other new people who may just pop in here. Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder. It's a genetic connective tissue syndrome. And I have comorbidities of POTS and MEMCAS, and POTS is an autonomic autoimmune issue, and MCAS is a histamine issue, and they all kind of go together. But HEDS causes pain. And so, guys, Miles said he would be willing to do a demonstration on this podcast, and possibly, try his energy healing on me because if I had any pain today, and I do. It's kind of ironic. I did fall on my butt, but that's okay now. But my hips are out, so what I call that, I say my hips are out. I don't really know what's wrong, Miles, but it's just kind of like they hurt when I walk and they kind of wobble out. And I do have a strap I can wrap around my hips and keep them in place. And my knees go out, my ankles go out, and everything. My left elbow has been just excruciating when I move it because the joints, I don't know if it's in or out or what's going on there. I don't know. But I was just letting you know. He said to me earlier he didn't need to know any information, but I wanted to let the listeners know before you attempt so that I can explain afterwards if I experience changes there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy to give it a shot. Yeah, maybe what I'll do, what I've been doing is kind of work for 5 minutes, then maybe I'll check in and then uh, continue, check again after another five and do 15 minutes total.
Okay.
And I guess I should say a disclaimer, like, of course, I can't cure or claim that I can cure anything. And also I feel like from what I've gathered, it seems to work about 70% of the time, maybe a
Awesome.
little more. But yeah, I don't want to say that it's 100%, just like
Of
anything
course.
else, not a perfect
Mhm.
And I
science.
have to be receptive. The person receiving the healing has to be receptive. I've experienced, I think anyway.
Well, I don't want to
Especially if
put
you're
that,
doing it. you know.
I don't want to put that on you or any,
Oh
I mean,
no. I'm
um,
open. I mean, I feel like I'm open. I'm just saying that from my experience doing Reiki or any kind of energy, because I did a lot of energy healing, like the kind you're talking about, Miles. Before I
mhm,
learned Reiki, I could stop people's headaches, but it wouldn't last. It lasts for
mhm,
about 3 hours. Or I could stop back pain for a few hours or something like that. Or I could put people to sleep by I called it lowering their dopamine. I don't know really what I was doing, but I could
mhm,
feel like inside their brain, like a whole bunch of activity, and I could calm it down. And what I
mhm.
imagined it was like filling up all the stuff in the neurons with stuff that calmed them down, or taking out the dopamine and putting other things in the little neuron or little receptors. I mean, I just like
Mhm.
imagination work, like. Um, but I feel like if the client doesn't want to receive it, it's not gonna help much. I don't
Well,
feel any
yeah.
pressure. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't want you to feel like it's on you,
It's not,
because
yeah.
I think people in this study, like some of them were complete skeptics, right? So,
Really?
yeah, I do think that you shouldn't have to 100% believe in this stuff. I wouldn't want
Oh,
people to
no,
have
no, not
to.
believe, be receptive is what I
Okay,
meant. Not
yeah.
believe, but just be open-minded about it. And it says, but you're saying there were people in the studies that just didn't believe it at all, didn't accept it, did not like, "Bleh, we're closed."
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. That's really cool.
And actually, you bring up another point. The next phase of this study, I believe, will be testing more long-term benefits. How long
Oh,
does the healing
cool.
last?
Cool.
So yeah, this was all, like I was saying, in the moment within, 15 minutes or so, but this will be a longer thing to see if they stick. So
Okay, so listeners, from your end, we're going to cut out the time. And if you're cool with that, Miles, when you check in, listeners, you'll hear those parts. And then I'll come back in when he's finished. We'll bring you back. We'll do the audio
sure.
that way. And then we'll talk about it. Sound good to everybody?
Sounds good to me. I'll
Mm.
just ask, I guess, to start off, I guess if you could say right now, you mentioned those areas, would you say on a level from 1 to 10? I don't know how much stuff you have going on, if that's too much to do,
No, I
but
can do that. The middle right now, the center, like my L1, I guess you want to say, is just really hurting. It's just that's the only way to put it. It's like pain, pressure. My hips right now are fine, but if I move them, they feel like they're coming out, and is what I would say. I don't really
mm,
know if that's what's happening, but they hurt. But I guess what I know about my disorder or my syndrome is that when the pressure rises and the atmospheric pressure rises, my tissues will squeeze into my joints. And then when the pressure goes down, it all kind of like expands. And that's what causes a lot of the pressure, or I mean, pain. So that might be what's going on too, because the pressure is really high in where I live and it fluctuates a lot here. So, yeah. So, does that help, or do you have any other questions? Or oh, my shoulder
uh,
is the same as my hips. It has the same sensation as my hips.
okay. Okay. All right. I think that's good. Yeah, I'll do
Okay,
my
so I'm going to
thing.
pause the recording while we do this part, and when you come back, I'll start it again. Does that sound good?
Mhm.
Because that way,
Sounds
that for
good.
listeners and watchers, that way it's a lot easier to edit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
pause it, and we'll get our stuff on the road.
I'll be back in 5.
Back in 5. Okay, listeners.
All right. So just checking in. It's only been the first 5 minutes, but yeah, I'll just check in, see if you notice anything, and then I'll go back to doing my thing.
I have noticed quite a few things. First, I had a POTS flare, so I've been having them for 6 days, Miles, and I started having one right when I got back from the bathroom, and I drank water. I took glucose pills, and I settled down and laid back. And then I felt like you were, or your energy was directly inside my kidneys because I don't know why, but I was really thirsty, and I have been very thirsty, but that's part of POTS. But I felt you in my kidneys, or some kind of energy clearing out my kidneys, or something like that. And then, or kidney, so it was on my right side. It felt like my right kidney. And then it was like, I felt this tingling where I told you it hurts where my L1 is, like tingled. And then I felt like I don't know if it was you or what was happening. It felt great, but it felt like energy was being pulled out of my body and pushed out or pulled out. But it felt like from my back all the way out through the top of me, and it looked yellow in my imagination, and it felt great coming out. And I felt it then. At first, it was just like through my whole body, just a little bit coming out. And then I started feeling it coming out of some of my joints. And then a really interesting thing happened. I felt like the energy or your healing trying to get in my third eye and clear that out or something like that. And I was resisting it, is what it felt like. And I gave you permission in my head to go in there, but not to tell me what you find. And then I felt you go in there, and then you came back. So that's about where I was. So I don't know what your end
Okay.
is.
My end is nothing.
Huh.
I don't
Who are you
see
asking?
anything. What's that?
Are you asking someone, or like angels, or how are you doing it?
Like I said, I just say my prayer and kind of meditate. So
That's
this is the dude version of being a
I
healer.
think it's
Just
just
as
your version, Miles. It's Miles.
well,
Trademark.
just as with tarot, I joke that it's also the dude version of being a tarot reader, because I'm not psychically seeing things, feeling things. Like, I'm literally looking at my cards and like figuring things out from the cards.
Logic and yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of piecing things together, but Yeah, that's why I say with this healing thing, it's it's kind of a mystery, and I kind of like it that way.
Yeah, it's working though.
But
This is fascinating.
anyways,
Shall we
but yeah,
continue?
yeah.
Please. Okay, we're going to continue. I'm going to pause it, listeners. We'll be back. Thank you, Donna, for your patience. Listeners, we are back for round 2 of Touching Base.
How goes it?
It's going good. This is a different I it's hard to keep track of everything that I'm experiencing, but I'm trying. And I did forget to mention the first time my stomach was doing well when I get Reiki or receive Reiki or offer Reiki, I get what I call the Reiki rumble, or where my stomach does a certain kind of rumbling and moving with gas or whatever, the stomach does. And this happened the first time and the second time, both times before we paused, but it wasn't the Reiki rumble. It was a different kind of energy moving in my stomach and bubbling and stuff. It felt different. This time it felt like the energy that was being pulled out, I guess is how I explained it. It feels good, but it feels like it was all floating around me in my aura, kind of. And my back kept tingling where the spine hurts, but it still hurts, but it was tingling. It's like kind of going back and forth throughout my body, trying to get to other places, is what I was feeling like the healing was doing, like going back and forth through like my third eye. And then I got a vision of like it's kind of weird. It's like I saw a thread and needle, and it was when I felt like the energy or the healing was in my third eye chakra, and I don't think of my third eye chakra as like the way I felt it in this healing. It felt like a cone going in like this, and it was all warm and being cleared out, I guess is the way to put it. But then I saw this thread and needle like sewing two chunks of brain matter together, and like in a vision kind of imaginary thing. And I got the kind of impression or information that what the healing was saying is that it is like going to work on reorganizing and restructuring the energy in my body, and it's going to take time. Not like I said, I don't know how much time. It just said it takes, like, I felt the impression I got was like a few days at the most for everything to start organizing. But what it felt like when the energy was outside my body, whereas it was within, it felt like it was restructuring. And that's what it was telling me. Like the next step, I don't know if this is right or not, but it was kind of implying that the next step was putting it back in the right, not the right, but like the healthiest way it can, my energetic stuff. And I do feel it coming out of my joints the most when the first time. And this time it was just everywhere all around me. And didn't feel bad or good, or it felt good more than bad, but it didn't feel threatening. And I'm aware the whole time. Like you can see I'm like wide awake. My shoulder is a little achy. Actually, my spine doesn't hurt right now. The base of my spine is not hurting anymore. I didn't notice it until just now because I looked and it's not hurting. Or I felt for it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So that's where we are now.
Okay, glad to hear. Yeah, and I think it's interesting you mentioned it felt a little different in your stomach than Reiki, like similar
A
but
lot.
different.
Yeah.
Because, and I want to clarify, I very much respect Reiki. And my only problem with it is just that anyone, right, can kind of go and take the course and say then that they're a Reiki master, right?
I
There's not like a
know.
kind of testing. But I think to me, Reiki or quantum touch, or there are many different things, in my opinion, I feel like they're all facets of the same energy. So I feel like I don't want to box myself in and say like I do Reiki, or I think it's energy healing, or
That
I just
is. I agree with you. And
yeah.
everybody who does Reiki and who, if wherever they learned it, and if they're like really healing and stuff, they all do it their own way in the end. They all have their own techniques as they work through it,
Mm-hmm,
just like we all do with tarot and stuff, the real healers, the
mm-hmm,
genuine healers who aren't just trying to make money or whatever, and really want to heal themselves. That's why I learned Reiki. I have all these health issues, so I wanted to work on healing myself.
mm-hmm. And
So,
just like you, I question, why this has been my path. And I do think the wounded healer archetype is very real because I've had chronic health issues most of my life. And even years leading up to this whole thing, I've been in pain almost every day myself. So I almost think it's maybe the powers that be is like, you have to experience pain to empathize with,
I feel
people
that.
if you want to help. Yeah.
I feel that what you're
Mhm.
saying. I really do.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry that you've had pain all your life because I know what that feels like. I really feel for you for that. And you're helping me right now. I wanted to ask you though, do you feel healing when you're doing the prayers and offering it to me?
It's funny you say that because when I was doing a lot of healing work during that study, I felt like my chronic pain was improving. Um,
Yes.
yeah. And so it's funny because I'm not doing it as much as I was then. And I feel my pain, I feel like is coming back a little more. So I'm like, I need to heal more people too,
So
not just for
true.
them, but almost for myself. Um, and I should clarify that I do feel a few sensations occasionally. I will feel a little pressure in my third eye sometimes, and I will feel a little heat in my hands.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
With
But
Reiki, I call it well, I had a friend who called it this, and now I do, but Reiki hands. But for me, it's tingly. And the other people say it feels warm, and it does feel warm if I'll touch myself. It's
mm,
like an energetic warm. It's not, it's not
mhm,
like really temperature warm, and then suddenly it'll get hot, really temperature
mm,
hot. And it's really cool, but
Mhm.
I don't have the what you were just saying warm. It's usually tingly and then hot. But just right here in the palm, listeners, in like the circle of my palm is where the heat is. Everywhere else is just kind of like warm and it radiates out the center. So I don't know if that's what you're experiencing. It's just interesting. All these energy. I love learning about different types. So it sounds like you're doing
Mhm.
something fabulous from my point of view. Shall we go on?
we shall.
What's interesting also I want to say about this healing is that I'm very alert. A lot of the healings I have received on the podcast have been kind of like they put me in a trance first. And this is cool. I feel like I am not having any kind of let's put it this like I don't want to call it a mental distortion from the healing because it's always good when they do it. But I feel like I'm not altered at all. Like I'm still the same as I was up in here as it was when we started, and I'm okay up in here.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just want to add that.
Well, what you just said reminded me, I think this is an important point as well. So back like a year ago, because of my chronic pain, I went to this so-called healer. He had like great reviews and this and that. And during the session, like at the end or something, he's like, yeah, you have these like entities, something in your field and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, entities, what the heck? And then later I went to this woman healer, and she's like, yeah, well, you have, I think the guy said I had like two entities. And then this woman later, she's like, yeah, you have six entities, but I'm going to take them away. And I found out she was a student of this guy.
Oh, wow.
So basically he's telling everyone has entities and blah, blah, blah. And
That's very common, unfortunately.
yeah. And it's like, pay me this money and I will remove these entities. And
Yeah.
this is another thing. There's so much BS in this field.
There's a lot in the
And
South of that.
yeah, yeah.
It's
And it's like,
Well,
cursed.
there
I
I
think
doesn't,
it's
believe it
every,
as the curse. You're cursed. I
yeah,
can see it. I'll remove
yeah.
it for $1,000. Oh, wait, it's still there. It's
and
working.
even on TikTok, you see that a lot. I don't know
You're
if
There's a
you've
right.
lot.
seen,
Yeah.
people will comment, right? Like, you're
It isn't,
cursed.
yeah. It isn't just the South, Lisa, believe me.
You're right. You guys are right. I've
So
just
this
lived
is
in the
where
South where I see it.
yeah,
Yeah. But I see it,
yeah,
yeah, all
You
over.
see
I
it
mean,
too. Yeah.
yeah.
it's
Eh,
bad.
hate
So
that.
I want people to know. I've had people that just don't know about this whole field, and they'll come and they'll say, "Did someone put this curse or this?" And I'm like, "Look, that so much of that is just complete crap, and it's just
Yes.
people. It's just scares people, and you
Yeah.
don't need all of that stuff to do this stuff.
Now,
Like,
and trust
Yeah.
your heart. Ask yourself, do I feel cursed before I came to this person? or whatever,
Or
Yeah.
did
trust
they,
your
yeah,
intuition. If you don't
yeah,
think and they're scaring you and you're scared, that's probably
right.
not the
If it's
truth.
fear, yeah, to me, if it's fear-based,
Yeah,
if there's a if there's a sense of wanting to instill fear,
that's a
um,
tell.
that
Yeah.
yeah, it really is a tell because that's I'm not saying that those things don't exist, but there's so much going on around that, and that's a very long time thing
Yeah.
of ways to kind of hook a person in through fear, that
Yes.
I would be very, very skeptical if that was the first thing the person, or among the first things that that person arrived at, versus something that maybe did emerge over time, or something where you've already had indications that something is seriously amiss. I mean,
Oh
seriously
yeah.
amiss.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that reminds, years ago, because I was interested in this whole thing. I'm like, is this legit? Or so I read this biography by this exorcist. I believe he worked at the Vatican, a very famous exorcist. And basically, the gist of his book was like 99% of the people who think they're like possessed, or the claims, it's so rare. He would do these tests on people. Someone thought they were possessed, or people told him they were possessed. He would throw like fake holy water on people
Yeah. Yeah.
versus real holy water. And, through doing that, he could figure out, he said, the percentage is so small. It's such a rare thing of
And I've
anything
heard
like
that.
that.
Your friend
Yeah.
Yeah.
June said that. We had
Yes.
a guest, one of
Yes.
Madonna knows, and she is well, she's a demon hunter and killer, and she says she is Archangel Ariel halfway, kind of. And I believed everything she said, and I could tell she was telling the truth. And she said that
Yes.
too, Miles. She's like, very few things are actually that kind of thing,
Demonic, but yeah,
demonic
demonic
possession.
presentations,
And
whatever.
yes,
Possessions,
yes.
presentations, where a person is actually being set upon by a demon,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very
whether it's
rare.
possession or some other, yeah.
I think it's so funny. It's been said we live in an upside down world, and I just find it funny. You have legit healers being called the devil or demons. These are demons, but
Yeah, you're
then
doing evil, that
the
you're doing
devil's work.
something
But
evil. Yeah.
in reality, I'm being told that there's angels involved,
Yeah.
while people are
Yes.
I
saying there's
gotcha.
demons.
Yes.
That's where
So
religion and spirituality have bumping heads, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
shall we
Round
Agreed.
three.
continue?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I will pause it, listeners, and we shall be back.
Okay.
Okay, listeners, we are back after round 3. Thank you, Miles.
You got it.
Where shall we start?
Well, I don't know. I guess I would check in. You said your shoulder felt a little better.
My shoulder does not hurt. Well, it's still doing a little bit when I go back like that. Oh, it just popped back into place, Miles. I felt
Oh,
it
wow.
pop under my hand when I did that. Oh, really
Hmm.
cool. My spine. Hang on. It's got some pressure to it, but it's not pain. There's a little bit of pain, but there's pressure. Um, During the 5 minutes or however long that was, it felt like a really long time to me. Like good long time. Uh, there was like a little time distortion for me. It felt like a lot of what was happening was in my third eye area, and was this very interesting to me, but it was around my left eye and in the socket and behind it in my brain. And the reason I find that so interesting is because when I was 5, I had a really bad infection in my left eye, and it blew up like black and blue, so big like a baseball. And my mom took me to the parents took me to the doctor, and they said, "You're about to die." They said I had a bacteria eating in through my eye socket into my brain, and they put me in the hospital. And then doesn't matter what happened for that, but they did. They fixed me. I lived, obviously. But that I felt that, and I was reminded of that, and it was like the energy was fixing something about that. It's hard to explain. And then it's just kind of spread through my whole brain, feeling like the energy did kind of, it was like tingly all through my brain. Is the way to put it. And then it felt like the energy then focused on my shoulder again and my spine where it hurts, and then my hips. It's like moving a lot. And as while it's doing that, it's still like what it feels like is structuring the energy and the stuff in my brain chemistry. Now, the reason I want to mention that is you had said that you really feel like this is physical healing, but what maybe you don't know this, but I've just suffered a PTSD episode. And I have PTSD. I don't like talking about it. And I just had a really bad one triggered. And what I felt in that was a lot of the escalating chemicals and cortisol and all the adrenaline, all that stuff that comes with fear from having a PTSD episode and shock and all that. All like, if, I keep saying structure because that's what it feels like it's doing, but it's like calming it down. I felt my third eye like it's been so overactive because I'm imagining scenarios that are never going to happen. That's part of PTSD. And it felt
Mhm.
like that was being like calmed down. And then I also felt like in the actual the sensations of energetically in my brain, it felt like it was dampening. But then at the very end, I felt like all I knew you were about to finish, I thought anyway, because I felt like it in my imagination, it was like yellow energy, yellow light, and it was coming off my arms and off my everything, a yellow light just coming off. And it felt like good. It felt like good. It felt like this is restoration, if that makes sense. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm still learning what exactly it can do. I mean, this study, I guess I mainly say it's physical because the study had to focus on physical pain just because it's the
Mhm.
most measurable thing, in the moment.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, little thing, my favorite so far has been on one of those forums when I was practicing. Someone had a cat that was sick, and so I did my thing, and I guess the cat hadn't been eating for days. And as I started healing on the cat, it went over and started eating
Hmm.
for the first time. And
Oh, something
Wow.
else.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but something else did come through. Angels. I had an angelic impression. I'm trying to remember what it was. And it wasn't the smell. I usually smell angels when they're around. It was something else that let me know angels were involved, and I can't remember what it was, Miles. I was really sucked into the other sensations, but I did get that message to tell you that there is an angelic touch to this in some way. And or I wasn't, I don't know if I was told to tell you that, but I wanted to. I just felt it. I felt like there's some kind of angelic issue involved here. I don't know. And I also like just sense like an alien presence. Like I don't know how to explain, or extraterrestrial kind of presence with the type of feeling you do. I don't know if presence is the right word, but I don't know how to explain it. I just don't. It's otherworldly, I guess you could say, because I haven't had a healing that felt as like the structured thing comes to mind again. Is what it feels like. It's hard to explain. It's like a
Well,
magical healing, but it fixes really well. It's kind of hard to explain.
it's definitely interesting you say that. And well, first I'll say the angel thing. Yeah, I'm a natural skeptic even towards myself. And so I know people can say
Mhm.
different things, but I mean, you validating that whole thing, that's really cool to hear. Of course, I don't have some angel telling me, so I can't say 100% for myself, but that's cool to hear. But the more structure kind of alien thing is interesting because one healer that I uh, tried to kind of learn from, there's also that type of vibe in what they do, and I've heard people say it's almost more of like a scientific type of feeling.
Yeah, it's
um,
logical,
yeah.
methodical, and very, very compassionate. I will add that. And you know what, Miles? I hate to do this because I love this podcast. I feel great, but it's
Oh
actually a good
yeah,
thing
we're
because we
good.
have a podcast in 3 minutes that we're supposed to record. She knows it's probably going to be late, listeners. But
Yeah.
Miles, I would love to ask you, where can listeners find you? Where can they get this? How, like maybe get something like this done if they want you to practice on them, or if you want to
Yeah.
give them a reading or anything.
So basically, I combined everything into one session: the tarot, the Vedic astrology, energy healing, just calling it an energy consult. And it's on my website. It's ridethedrum.com, just as you would think it's spelled. Ridethedrum.com, and you'll
I'll
see
put
it
that
there.
in the description.
Yeah.
Thanks. And there's a bunch of testimonials with all this stuff, so you can see that for yourself. And thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Always a
Miles.
pleasure.
And listeners, he said he might send me a song. He's a musician. He might send me a song to play somewhere around in this area. So if you're hearing music right now, that's his. And I would also love to thank Everclear. Everclear is our sponsor. It's an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. I am an advisor on Everclear under the name Lisa Rusczyk.
And I am an advisor on Everclear under the name Donna Murphy.
And Miles, are you still on Everclear?
I go on every now and then.
He's a lurker, so if you can always get to him somehow on Everclear, we'll put your link in there. I'll find it. And or you can send it to me if you want. And listeners and watchers, man, you guys are the best. Isn't he awesome? I told on Instagram that you were awesome, and I had to prove it, and I proved it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Miles, this is our first time meeting. It's just been a pleasure meeting you and starting to get to know you and what you do. And I really encourage our listeners and watchers to explore more with you about what you're doing, because it sounds fascinating. I mean, I know I didn't participate in the healing, but just what I was able to, I'll say, kind of pick up psychically, energetically, it just felt like a really peaceful and really a really calm, compassionate, I'm going to use this word because it's the word I hear, I'm clairaudient. So it's kind of a holy space.
Yes.
But I don't mean that like church or anything
holy
like
space.
that.
I feel like mine.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's just a really beautiful thing. And I really encourage people to find out more about you. And I look forward to having you on the show again sometime soon. That would be great.
Thanks, Donna. Nice meeting you as well.
Thank you.
Been a
And Miles,
pleasure.
I would love to ask for advice, but I think we're running out of time. So I'm going to ask you one last question. Do you love the listeners and the watchers? Or actually, we don't have any watchers today, but do you love our listeners?
Our listeners. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, we're besties, right?
Yeah.
I've never met any of them, but yes, we are the best
they love
of
you.
friends.
They love you right now, and they love you always. And listeners, we love you always. Donna, I love you.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you
you,
too,
Miles.
honey. See you soon.
See you soon in about
Love you
5
both.
minutes. Thank you, or
Yeah.
say,
All right.
hey! And Miles, thank you so much. And you were awesome. I appreciate it. And everybody, have a wonderful time wherever you may be. And I love you, and peace out. Bye.
Bye.